management, and advertisers.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It is PTL time, pushing the limits. Thank you all for being here. Boy, do we have a lot to go over today. My goodness, it's been a very interesting morning for myself. I'll get to that, but we're all in the YouTube Super Chat. Of course, pushingthelimits.live, the FMAM dial KSHP, and we appreciate you all being here. Before I get into the news of the day, I will tell you I did the Piers Morgan show this morning. And I had a chance to finally debate Riley Gaines. If you don't know who Riley Gaines is, she's the woman who is a former college swimmer who attacks transgenders 24/7. And I find what she's doing for a living to be absolutely despicable. She called me a pig. I called her out as being a grifter who just attacks trans people. It got very heated. And I asked her if she would condemn any of Donald Trump's behavior, like going into teenage girls' locker rooms, and she didn't specifically condemn him. And then she said I was accusing her of not being a good swimmer, which is really weird because the point that I made was the only reason why people know who she is because she attacks trans people. Anyway, I think Pierce is airing it later today. It got very, very heated. And, of course, I called out the people that are seem to be celebrating Charlie Kirk, what took place with him last week. But I also read some of the quotes that Charlie Kirk has said over the years as well. I did the same stuff on Piers Morgan this morning that I do on this radio show every single day, and Riley Gaines obviously couldn't handle it. I cannot wait until that airs, and certainly later on we will be playing those clips, but it certainly was interesting. Of course, it is Wednesday, and that means it is time to introduce my co-host for today. Always great having the former police officer and lieutenant in North Las Vegas, Leonard Cardinale, joining us in studio. Leonard, it is good to see you as always. How are you?
Good afternoon, Brian. Can't wait to get started. So much to cover.
There is a lot to talk about, but I did promise, and we're going to go into the Cash Patel hearing this morning because it was mesmerizing. But before I do that, I promised my audience I would talk about this. And obviously the Charlie Kirk assassination last week was, big news, of course. But I got to tell you, the death of this 21-year-old Delta State University student, his name is Trey Reed, is finally starting to make the rounds on Sun networks, not right-wing networks like Newsmax or OAN or Fox News. Yeah. But this has turned into something even bigger than just a tragedy. Before we get into a lot of details, I want to play some audio from my good friend Don Lemon, who I think did a good job, because what they're trying to claim, at least what the police were trying to claim, and we'll get into this, Leonard, is that this African-American student somehow hung himself on a tree. Now, that's absurd, and we know that's not true, but my friend Don Lemon explains it perfectly. Have a listen to this.
A 21-year-old student was found hanging from a tree in Cleveland, Mississippi. It's at a university called Delta State University in Cleveland. They found him early in the morning, about 7 o'clock, hanging from a tree. They're saying at this point there's no foul play, but folks are calling for investigations. And I think they need to get to the bottom. This guy's name is Demartravion Trey Reed. He's from Grenada, Mississippi. Everyone they spoke to said he was a great guy. He lit up a room. And so why was he hanging from a tree? What happened? That's what we need to know, whether it's foul play or not. This story deserves to be investigated and told, and we'll stay on top of it.
Good job, Don Lemon. Now, Leonard, you being a former cop, I just want to give a few more details, and then I want to get your thoughts on this. So the Grenada County Sheriff's Department came to Trey's family's house and told them he was found dead in his dorm room bed, which is a lie. I don't know why they would say that. But then a few hours later, the chief of police told the world something completely different, that they found him hanging from a tree in the middle of the campus at around 7 o'clock in the morning. His parents were lied to. This reminds me a little bit about the Ahmaud Arbery situation, which was a lynching, because police lied to Ahmaud Arbery's mother and said that Ahmaud Arbery was the aggressor, and it was self-defense. Then we saw the video, and we all saw it was a lie.
Well, that's why they had to tell the truth, because there was video. But let me ask you a quick question. So the police get there, and I personally have never heard of anything like this. this type of, they're saying it was self-termination is what they're calling it.
Doesn't make any sense.
If they think it's a suicide,
He had
call
broken
it a
legs and broken
suicide.
arms. How
well,
could that
the
be
family
possible?
said from the video it looked like he had broken legs,
Yeah.
broken arms, bruises.
Right.
The police said that nothing suspicious, nothing to see here. Everybody, come on, let's move on. And so my question to you is, they found him at 7 in the morning, so it happened overnight. So they want us to believe. Now, remember, the coroner's report didn't come out yet, and that would indicate broken bones and those types of things.
Right.
So they want us to believe that a 21-year-old black male climbed a tree in the middle of the night by himself and lynched himself in a tree.
Of course.
So everybody could see him.
Of course that didn't happen.
Wait
I
a minute.
find it reprehensible.
In the Deep South, okay, in Cleveland, Mississippi, at a predominantly white college.
Absurd. But you know, it's interesting, Leonard. And make no mistake about it. The woman who lost her life on that train, Ukrainian, what a tragic story. Horrible. And the right was claiming that left-leaning entities in the media weren't covering that. By the way, that's a lie. Okay? CNN covered it.
I saw it.
MSNBC covered it. They all covered it. That was a complete lie. Can you please name me a right-wing entity that has led with this story or talked about it extensively? Because this is a big story.
No, you can barely find it.
Thank you. And the reason why is because they don't care. I think you can probably come up with the reasons why. They don't care that a black police officer who was a hero, who served our country, was brutally shot, lost his life because of some nut lunatic Trump supporter who was anti-vaccine. Donald Trump doesn't even know the name of the woman in Minnesota and her poor husband who lost their life.
Well,
didn't even know.
Well, nobody asked. You know, the reason I didn't, acknowledge it was nobody asked me to. Who says that? What kind of people say that?
It's and by the way, he's lying. Of course he knows. It's unbelievable. And because of the Charlie Kirk news, I haven't had a chance yet to talk about this, and I wanted to make sure I knew all the details before I talk about something on the radio. There is no doubt in my mind this was not a suicide. This was not something that Trey Reed did to himself. And when you see somebody hanging from a tree that is unalived, for lack of a better term, and law enforcement say they don't see anything suspicious, that entire police department should be investigated. It is disgraceful
it's
and
the Deep
disgusting.
South. It's Mississippi. It's the Deep South. And I can tell you right now that you don't have to be a 25-year veteran of the police department to walk up to that scene and say, wait a minute, what happened? What do we think happened? That he climbed out on a limb by himself and lynched himself?
And they lied. They said he lost his life in a dorm room. How is that possible?
And then they said he self-terminated, whatever that means. I've never heard. That's the first time I've heard of that expression.
All I can tell you is that there was a preliminary check, and I don't know if this is true or not, but that showed no signs of assault. But when you're hanging from a tree, that doesn't mean that you had to have been assaulted first. So that could be irrelevant. What we know is that he was hanging from a tree. That's what we know. So Trey's body is being sent to the Mississippi Crime Lab for an official autopsy, but I guarantee you his body won't be
They're
carried.
probably going to have to submit a FOIA request for that information.
But I guarantee
you want to bet me right now they have to force that information out?
Probably, but I guarantee you his body wasn't put on Air Force Two. I guarantee you his body wasn't held by service members. He's not being called a hero. He's not being called anything that Charlie Kirk was called or that he was treated. I'm very sorry what happened to Charlie Kirk. I've been very consistent about that. But his body should not have been on Air Force Two, and service members should not have been carrying his casket. Where is the right-wing media talking about this? I have some people on social media that say, the left didn't cover this story about this Ukrainian woman. Brutal what happened to her. It's horrible.
I saw it on all the stations that I watch.
Where's the right? I did too. Where's the right on this story? You want to talk about a lynching?
Well, Brian, I think you would agree that we don't have any information, okay? We're talking to the public. I'm talking to the public. We don't have any information on what actually happened. But what if it was an old-fashioned, old-style, 1950s, 1960s type situation? Don't you think that would significantly change the landscape?
Well, here's the problem, Leonard, and you being a former cop, maybe you could help me with this. I do not trust this police department, and it's their jurisdiction, and it's their investigation. Why would we trust a police department that said a black person hanging from a tree is not suspicious? Why would we trust a police department that knowingly lied to the family and said that he lost his life in his dorm room, knowing that he was hanging from a tree? This is the police department that we should trust? No, I don't trust them. And I'm not sitting here and saying I don't trust all police, but I don't trust these police. What are they hiding? That is the question that I ask you, Leonard.
Here's the truth. They can cover up just about anything in a police department. I was not only a police lieutenant. You have to remember, for several years, I was a president of the union. So I filed many complaints against the city, many grievances, even lawsuits. And I can tell you right now, being upper middle management, I know the inner workings. And they can really take, unless you have it on video, like George Floyd. What would have happened if that young girl didn't have the video, right? And it was only the cop's word. So you have to ask yourself, what would have happened in that situation?
And by the way, there were 2 hangings.
There was
There were
another
2
one nearby, but I believe it was a white guy and a homeless guy. He was 36 years old, and they said it was unrelated. I don't know why they would. Well, I mean, in a one-day investigation, I don't know how you investigate for one day and say it wasn't related.
Don't you find that to be extremely suspicious?
It's, how do you know that they didn't try it out on somebody else first and see how it worked? Or maybe they were just on a rage or a rant, and it's very suspicious. It was a bit away. It wasn't right around the corner, and it was at a different time. They found him at 1 p.m. in the afternoon.
Is that just a coincidence?
2 people hung in the same state,
Close to the same area?
Close to the same county on the same day.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so that's... I just hope there's enough public pressure to force the real information to come out. And you know what? If he committed suicide or did it himself, I have no issue with that, but it needs to be investigated fully.
Yeah, there are a bunch of GoFundMes, which I think is good. And they're fake GoFundMes. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that. A bunch of fake GoFundMes, so people are taking advantage of
Not like Charlie Kirk's wife. It was a real GoFundMe.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, well, we can get into that later. But listen, my heart goes out to all the families that were affected by this. This is obviously a horrible situation. I don't trust this police department. By the way, as a whole, I usually trust police. I don't trust this police department. We are going to stay on top of this. That is my promise to you. As soon as we get more information, I promise you I will continue to cover this story. And this story, I will not let it go away.
It's slow sledding on the information.
Yes.
Very slow sledding.
We are going to continue to cover it. That is all the information we have right now. And this police department is an absolute disgrace. Anybody who lied to the family, they're hiding something. They're covering something up. I want to know what they're covering up and what they're hiding. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to find out about that. Cowpoke on the YouTube Super Chat says, first off, as a black man, I can say right now, we don't commit suicide. Well, I mean, I think in the history of this country, some do, but I understand where he's going with this. And if one did it, it would never be done by a rope. This is Mississippi burning, and everybody knows it. So, Cowpoke, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. And obviously, I don't think this was a suicide either. Sadly, there have been African Americans that have taken their own lives, but I understand what you're saying. In this case, I don't think that's what happened. So I appreciate.
I've
your
never
statement.
heard of this particular situation. I've seen many suicides, many hundreds of attempt suicides, and I've never seen anything like this. This is particularly
this is, very troubling.
Strange.
Very troubling, and the media's got to stay on top of this, and we will continue to talk about it. That is my promise to all of you. So while all this was going on, I was doing Pierce Morgan's show this morning, and I had to come to work here, and I'm watching and listening to Cash Patel and his testimony in front of the House members and getting grilled on the Epstein files. And I got to tell you something, folks. This is riveting audio I am about to play for you. A man who has done this show before a few times, Representative Eric Swalwell. He's been on the show. I like Eric Swalwell. I think he's a really good guy. And he's very good at questioning people and asking, he's a smart guy. Now, there have been rumors that have been circulating, and the New York Times put out an article about Trump possibly being in the Epstein files. And Eric Swalwell is now questioning Cash Patel. I want you to listen to this exchange, and you want to talk about an unbelievable audio clip and video. This is pretty much Kash Patel refusing to answer what is a very direct question. It kind of reminds me of how I have to ask a MAGA, Leonard, the same question
Only
5 or
he's
6
the director
times.
of the FBI.
Yeah, the director of the FBI will not answer this question. Have a listen to this.
Remembering your oath to tell the truth, did you ever tell Donald Trump his name is in the files?
I have never spoken to President Trump about the Epstein files.
Did you ever tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
The Attorney General and I have had numerous discussions about the entirety of the Epstein files and the reviews conducted by our team.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
And we have released where President Trump's name is in
it's
the
a simple
attorney's
question.
file.
Did you tell the Attorney General that the President's name is in the Epstein files?
During many conversations that the Attorney General and I have had on the matter of Epstein, we have reviewed
The question is
painstakingly
simple.
who
Did you
can
tell
be-
the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files? Yes or no?
Why don't you try spelling it out?
Yes
if
or
you're gonna mock
no, Director?
Use the alphabet.
Yes or no?
No? A, B, C,
Director,
D, E, F?
it
Don't wanna
sounds
do
like you don't want to tell us. Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files?
Why don't you try serving your
Director,
constituency
did
by
you tell the
focusing on
Attorney
reducing
General
violent
that Donald
crime in this
Trump's name-
country and the number of pedophiles that
Director,
are legally
reclaiming
harbored
my time,
in your
Director.
sanctuary cities in
Director,
California?
reclaiming
I'll
my
work with
time.
you on that. Do
Regular
you wanna
order,
work
Mr.
with us
Chairman.
on that?
Director,
I'm
reclaiming
the
my
lawless
time.
gentleman from California.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
Question
Yes or no?
has been asked and answered.
You've not answered it, and we will take your evasiveness as a consciousness of guilt.
I'll take that as a yes.
He doesn't answer the question. Now think about this for a moment. If the answer was no, what would be Kash Patel's reasoning of not answering that question? Think about that for a minute. If the answer was no, which clearly it's not. If it was no, he would have said it. We know what happened here. Kash Patel will not answer the question. He certainly doesn't want to lie under oath, so he doesn't answer the question. That is mesmerizing audio, and it confirms what we already knew. And great job by Eric Swalwell by asking it 5 or 6 times, and then Kash Patel goes into the ad hominem attacks and says everything but answering the question. No, the question wasn't about whether you talked to Trump about this. The question wasn't about did you have conversations with the Attorney General about the Epstein files. That wasn't the question. The question was very simple. Did you, I'm talking like Eric Swalwell now, did you
or did you
yeah,
not?
yes or no, did you tell Attorney General Bondi that Trump's in the Epstein files? Never answers the
He
question.
doesn't get to do that. He's the director of the FBI.
Yeah. Oh, but it
There's
continues.
nobody higher than him in the FBI. He doesn't get to do that.
Unbelievable, Leonard. It gets worse, though. I mean, I thought Swalwell did a great job. Listen to this exchange where it continues, where he's talking to Kash Patel. Listen to this.
You said you don't know the number of times Trump's name appears in the files, so it could at least be 1,000 times. Is that right?
The number is a total misleading factor. We have not
the
released
number at least
anyone's
be 1,000
name
times.
that we have not released anyone's
Could it
name in the
at least
Epstein
be
files
1,000
that has
times?
not been credible.
Director, could it at
We have
least be 1,000
released
times?
every piece of legally permissible information.
Okay,
You can
so-
characterize the numbers however you want it.
Claiming my time, Director. It sounds like if you don't know the number, it could at least be 1,000 times. Which
It's not.
means
It's not.
is it at least 500 times?
No.
Is it at least 100 times?
No.
Then what's the number?
I don't know the number, but it's not that.
Do you think it might be your job to know the number?
My job is to provide for the safety and security of this country. My job is not to engage in political
And that
innuendo
includes protecting
so you can go
sexual
out to the
assault victims.
sticks and get your 20-second hit in your fundraising
reclaiming my
article.
time,
And
Director.
keep going, reclaiming your time, because the
Director,
people of California
If
are
Trump-
being
if the
underserved by
president-
your
The
representation.
president is not implicated. Why not release everything that involves
We
him?
have released everything, the president and anyone else's side, that is credible and lawfully be able to be released. Your fixation on this matter and baseless accusations that I'm hiding
Also
child
Mr. Massey's
pedophiles is disgusting.
interest.
Anyone that says that needs to look at the stats alone. And go back to the state of California, who's receiving the biggest surge in FBI resources through
Director-
my redeployment because the cities of Los Angeles, San Diego, and San
Reclaiming
Francisco
my
are
time,
needed.
Director.
Absolute lies. And by the way, what Kash Patel just said is not true. They tried to release 3% of the files, and a judge told them no because they only picked and choose what they were going to release. We also know that the Epstein court order said interviews aren't secret, and the DOJ is the logical party to make comprehensive disclosure to the public of the Epstein files. What that means is Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Donald Trump, they could release pretty much everything tomorrow if they wanted to without a judge having to say yes or no. Kash
So what's
Patel
the big
is lying.
secret? What's the big secret?
I think we all know the answer to that. And, you know, Dan Goldman, who I think is a rising star within the Democrat Party, Leonard, and he was a prosecutor for 10 years. Very intelligent guy. Clearly knows a little bit more about the law than Kash Patel does. And listen to Dan Goldman just make Kash Patel look like the fool that he is. Have a listen to this exchange.
Okay, let's talk about the witness interviews. 302s of witness interviews. Those are not subject to the court order. Those are not subject to any fictional sealed order for a search warrant. Why aren't you releasing those with the redacted names of the victims?
We are releasing as much as legally allowed. That's why we went back to
How
the
is that?
courts.
How is that not legally allowed?
Sir, do you know how court orders work? Do you know how protective orders work?
Actually,
Do you know how
Mr.
sealing
Patel,
orders
I was
work?
a real prosecutor for 10 years. I know exactly how.
So I was a
court
fake one?
orders. And I want to understand what the court order prevents you from releasing witness statements that the FBI took.
You should know that as a real prosecutor, when the court hand downs a protective order and a motion to seal, the material is sealed unless
So
that
your
judge
testimony
waives
here
it.
is that all of those witness statements are under a court order, a protective order.
We are providing everything we can legally provide.
No, that's not my
Congress has
question.
sent us a
My
subpoena.
question is, why are those witness statements that are not grand jury testimony, that if they were under a protective order are no longer under a protective order, why are they not being released?
How are they not under protective
Why
order?
are you not going to the court like you did for the grand jury testimony to unseal those
The
records?
DOJ did go to the court.
No, not on those records. Why
Time
aren't
of
you
the
going? You
gentleman.
just went on grand jury.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
You are hiding the Epstein files,
Time
Mr.
of the
Patel.
gentleman has expired.
You are part of the cover-up.
There you go.
Amen, Dan Goldman, because we know Kash Patel is part of the cover-up, and he just absolutely destroyed Kash Patel. And no, I don't think Kash Patel was a real attorney either. I think he was a make-believe one.
He thinks he's good at pivoting, is what it is. He thinks he's good at changing the subject, personal attack, but I don't think he's skilled at it at all.
Yeah, Goldman is a very skilled man. He's smart, and the point that he was trying to make, which I think most of us understand, is if they wanted to go the extra mile to release all the files and the testimony from some of the victims, they would easily be able to do that.
Well, and witnesses. Witnesses
Right.
aren't necessarily victims.
Correct.
And
I
he's
say
saying
once
that
again,
can be released.
and I say once again because I think, Leonard, this is really important to note, that Patel's testimony that a court order prevents the DOJ from releasing interview reports is blatantly false. That's a lie. The Epstein court order said interviews aren't secret, and that the DOJ is the logical party to make comprehensive disclosure to the public of the Epstein files. Why not just release them?
Just remember, there's a few dozen victims who said, I don't care if you redact my name or not, because they went on TV and gave their account of what happened.
Right.
They don't care.
They don't. And then there comes Representative Massey, who lately I tend to agree with him on a lot of different issues. So Massey got into it with Kash Patel as well, and I thought his statement here was really worth listening to because I thought Massey did a really good job as well.
According to victims who cooperated with the FBI in that investigation, these documents in FBI possession, your possession, detail at least 20 men, including Mr. Jess Staley, CEO of Barclays Bank, who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked victims to, victims including minors such as Virginia Roberts Giuffre, may she rest in peace. That list also includes at least 19 other individuals, one Hollywood producer worth a few $100 million, one royal prince, one high-profile individual in the music industry, one very prominent banker, one high-profile government official, one high-profile former politician, one owner of a car company in Italy, one rock star, one magician, at least 6 billionaires, including a billionaire from Canada. We know these people exist in the FBI files, the files that you control. I don't know exactly who they are, but the FBI does. Have you launched any investigations into any of these people, and have you seen these 302 documents?
Sir, I have asked my FBI agents to review
the entirety of the Epstein files and bring forth any credible information. And we're working with Congress not only to divulge that information and produce it to you, but any investigations that arise from any credible investigation will be brought. There have been no new materials brought to me launching a new indictment.
Notice how he also doesn't answer the question.
He didn't answer the question.
Doesn't answer the question. So why is Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and Dan Bongino hiding all of this from the American people, Leonard? Why?
Well, you know, Brian, it occurred to me if there was something that I asked you on directly on the radio, or one of your, or a caller called in and said, "Hey, Brian, I heard you failed high school," and you said, "Well,
almost, but not true."
Well, no, I passed high school, and they said, "Well, you know, I need proof because I have." You would say, I'm not willing to show people my high school diploma. That, you see what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. And Donald Trump, if he had dirt on Democrats, he would have put it out long ago.
This is, make no mistake about it, this is a massive cover-up from the top down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll play you one more clip. Jayapal, who I think she's a lovely lady, and I think she does a wonderful job. And she just gives it to Kash Patel. Have a listen to this. She absolutely just destroys Kash Patel. Listen to this.
Not Obama.
President Trump
no one
called
else.
the entire thing a Democratic hoax. So I would like to ask
the gentlelady's time has
you
expired.
will
I gave her the additional 45 seconds she requested. The
meet,
gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from New Jersey is recognized for his 5 minutes.
If you would meet with the women who were sexually abused and raped and groomed at the ages of 14 and 16 years old. Are you going to cover up?
No,
Are you going to continue to cover up for the rich and powerful men, including those that might be on this committee?
I can yell too, Mr. Chairman, but I don't want to yell above this.
The time belongs to the gentleman from New Jersey. I appreciate the gentlelady yielding back.
Are you going to allow them to testify, Mr. Patel?
Go ahead.
Will you allow them to testify to you, Mr. Patel?
Mr. Patel, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Not only does, by the way, Jayapal, that is not fake rage, okay? She's very passionate about this issue, and rightfully so.
She is very intelligent, by the way, in my opinion.
Very, I agree.
She can really put together an argument.
I can't even imagine all the victims there are here. And if they're willing to testify, their voices deserve to be heard. And Kash Patel, being the coward that he is, doesn't answer the question. Why? Well, because they're hiding something. And I think we all know who they're hiding for. My heart goes out to all the victims, and it breaks my heart, and I said this on the Piers Morgan show this morning, that Ghislaine Maxwell, who's probably one of the biggest traffickers in the history of this country, is being treated like royalty right now, and she was basically sent to a Club Med facility after Donald Trump's former personal attorney spoke with her. So make no mistake about it. This is a massive cover-up. Kash Patel once again exposed to the buffoon that he is. So instead of blatantly lying, he dodges questions. He doesn't answer direct yes or no questions being asked to him, and he embarrassed himself. And listen, I don't know if he's going to be fired or not. Obviously, he should. Donald Trump won't do that because he knows Patel is loyal to him.
Loyalty doesn't work that way. If he were to fire him, that would send a message to everybody that's loyal to him, in my opinion.
Yeah. So this is another story that we cannot let go away. I understand that in the last week, the Charlie Kirk story was obviously a very big story. We've covered it here ad nauseum. I think I've had about enough of that. I covered it and was asked about it earlier today. And I'm sure there'll be more twists and turns in the case. We know what happened. I think we have a pretty good idea of who did it. It's a tragedy. It's horrible. I will not be honoring Charlie Kirk. It doesn't mean I'm celebrating, because I'm not. Any political violence should never be condoned. But I am done talking about Charlie Kirk. I refuse to praise him.
He was not a good guy.
No, he was not. And I've ad nauseum I've talked about that. But at this point, I'm a little bit more concerned, quite frankly, with Trey Reed and his family and the other individual that lost his life. That family deserves justice. They deserve police officers that tell the truth and that will thoroughly investigate. The victims of Jeffrey Epstein deserve to be heard. I'm thinking about victims right now, and I understand last week I talked about it ad nauseum. Charlie Kirk was a husband and a father. I get all that. I talked about his family, his wife, his kids, and everybody that was there and the trauma that, seeing that, it's horrible. But I want to focus now on some other stories, to me, that are just as important, if not more. Trey Reed did not take his own life, and the law enforcement in that city are lying. The number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation, I think now would be a good time to take some phone calls, Leonard.
I think cover-up has become the American way. That's what it seems like to me. And you were very empathetic toward Charlie Kirk's family and his children
it's horrible.
And his friends. But you know who was against empathy? You know who hated empathy?
Charlie Kirk.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk. That's why I'm done talking about it. He doesn't deserve us talking about it anymore. Now, the right wants to keep talking about it, and they want to blame the left for everything. No blame for January 6th, though, right? We hear from J.D. Vance. There's no political violence on the right. Then what the hell happened on January 6th? What the hell was that?
That was an attack, a violent attack on the Capitol and on the police.
Yeah,
J.D. Vance. I'll say it just like that.
J.D. Vance is an embarrassment, and they're putting gasoline on the fire.
Can I just say something about the Charlie Kirk shooter, Tyler? Is it possible that he just didn't like fascism? Because he wrote on the bullet, "Hey, fascist, catch," with some arrows indicating dropping a bomb.
I'm going to be honest with you.
One more question. Is it possible that he just snapped because he texted his roommate and said, "Some hate can't be overlooked"? Did he not say that?
He did say that.
Could it just be that?
But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care what he said on the bullets. I don't care what his political affiliation was. I don't care. What I care about is how can we prevent these things from happening again. Republicans are obsessed trying to...
It'd be hard to prevent that one.
It would be hard, but how did he get his hands on a weapon? We need to talk about that.
Well, it was handed down through the family.
No, I understand that, but we need to figure out better ways in this country to prevent things like that from happening. And if you're somebody like a Charlie Kirk, I'm talking about his platform and how popular amongst far righties he was, then there needs to be better security.
And the reporting is that he didn't want tight security.
He did not want it.
He wanted to be among the people. He wanted to debate people openly. He didn't like the idea of magnetometers and checking everyone. And as far as the gun, I mean, it was a family heirloom that was handed down from the grandfather to the father to the son, and it was an old hunting rifle with a scope. So
correct.
I don't know if any current laws can be changed or modified to stop that kind of... It's just handed down through the family. But I understand what you're saying, Brian. That's why I'm all for universal background checks. And
100%.
I'm also for holding the gun stores responsible and the people online who illegally sells the guns to people that shouldn't have them.
Agree. In a few minutes here, we will be getting to the YouTube Super Chat because I know more people that want their voices to be heard. But I do want to start with some phone calls. A couple topics that we're talking about today. Of course, we're talking about this horrible Trey Reed situation where he's seen hanging from a tree, and law enforcement say nothing looks suspicious here. I've never heard about anything like this in my life. It's unbelievable. We're talking about that. And of course, talking about Cash Patel's testimony today, where he wouldn't answer really any direct question.
Maybe we can get somebody to call in and defend Cash.
Yeah. I'd love.
What do you think about that?
Cash Patel. I doubt it, but we'll see. All right, let's get to the phone calls. Let's start off with Ken. Ken is first up on PTL. Hi, Ken.
Gentlemen, how's the day going?
It's been a tough day.
There's a lot going on, Ken.
Yeah.
At some point, when the Nazis and the Klan get together, okay, can't we still call them Nazis or the Klan? I mean, they're doing the lynching. They got the Nazi
but
Gestapo.
Here's why I don't like using that word. Obviously, if somebody is responsible for this horrible situation and what took place to this young man, Trey Reed, you could use any name in the book, but we just don't know at this point who was responsible. I want to wait. Yes, it does appear that there was foul play. Absolutely. The only reason why I don't
1939 Germany.
Well,
at best.
Well, listen, I don't like to. You're entitled to your opinion. I don't like to compare things to that.
1939 Germany was, not to be comparative, but it was a heck of a lot worse than
I mean, there were 7 million.
I mean, they were digging trenches and throwing dead bodies.
I think there's a better. This is just my opinion, sir. I think there's a better way of putting your point across and making your point than comparing it to Germany.
It was hate and racism. You can call it hate and racism.
I'm not at that point where I'm comfortable in doing so, but at the same time, I would say that there are a lot of people in this country that have a lot of hate in their heart. There's a lot of people.
The only difference between then and now, okay, The Nazis had to have somebody to pick on, so they went after the Jews. They went after the Jews because they didn't have enough black or brown people to go after.
Well, it's part
now
of fascism.
They've got the black and brown people to go after. It's the same group of people.
I'm not saying that. I'm not.
Take their hood off, and there's a red hat.
I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying that's not true. Obviously, there's a lot of people in this country on the far right that are attacking minorities, people of color, transgenders, different sexuality. So I agree with what you're saying. I still wouldn't compare that to what you did, but you're entitled to your opinion, and I can understand why some people are very upset.
What he was describing is also an element of fascism. In fascism, you pick out a popular group, you attack them in the media, you attack them openly, and if need be, you put them in jail or you kill them. So it's a component of fascism.
And let me remind our audience, for those on the right that don't like using the word fascist, Donald Trump called Kamala Harris a fascist on multiple occasions on the campaign trail. So you can end that nonsense right now because your orange leader did it all the time. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Brian. Brian is next up on PTL. Hello, Brian.
Hello, Brian. Hello, Leonard. Let me tell you something. Black men do not hang themselves from trees.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying as a matter of culture, right, Brian? You're talking about the culture?
Let me say it. Let me say it again for the peanut gallery, those in the back that didn't hear me. Black men do not hang themselves from trees.
Do you have an opinion on what you think happened, Brian?
He was killed. And the police force, Brian, he hit it spot on. Somebody's covering something up, and we need to get to the bottom of it. They're covering something up. Why? I have no idea. But it's Mississippi.
Well, you know what, Brian? Look at what happened to Ahmaud Arbery. Let me remind everybody. Ahmaud Arbery was lynched by 3 white people. And they had the video of what took place. When I say they, I mean a dozen law enforcement officials. What did they do? They went to Arbery's home and they told the mother that he was the one that started it. He was the one, and it was self-defense. They lied. And the only reason why those 3 men are behind bars right now, make no mistake about it, the only reason is because one of those men released the video to a news organization several months later. That was a cover-up from the top all the way down. Did Donald Trump talk about Ahmaud Arbery? Did Fox News talk about Ahmaud Arbery? Did the far right talk about Ahmaud Arbery? No, they didn't. But they want to make Charlie Kirk out to be some sort of hero, and I am done with it. I am tired of it, and I'm tired of these law enforcement officials. I do think that most, like Leonard, most police officers have a good heart and they are good people, but there are some bad people within this police department that are covering something up, and I want to know what the hell happened to this kid.
I'm telling you, they can cover up almost anything.
Well,
and they're following the example of the Trump administration, which is all covering up every day, multiple different aspects every single day. So maybe that's the way of America now. Everyone's going to just cover it up. And there is video. Just 1 second, Brian. But there is video of Trey Reed hanging in the tree. At least that's what I saw online. I don't know if it's legit or not. But that's probably why it was pushed. And that's why the investigation, because they have. What if there was no video? You would have to go. The police said nothing going on here, nothing suspicious.
And I promise you, Charlie Kirk would not be talking about this story on his podcast. No, I promise you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
Well, no, I'm listening. Both of y'all are spot on. All I was just going to say next is I've had a field day on my Facebook timeline with these Charlie Kirk fanboys and fangirls, and I'm talking about my people. I was born and raised in church. I'm a Christian, and it was like a majority black church. And you would be shocked how many of these people, my friends that I grew up with in church, black people, supporting Charlie Kirk, and I've been airing every last one of them.
What's going on with that, Brian? What's the deal with that?
Because I'm gonna tell you what the deal is. I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is. When you use Jesus as a springboard, especially with black men and black women that are from church, everything that comes out of your mouth has to be true. It has to.
But Brian, he said terrible. What about the stuff he said about black women? He said educated black women only get jobs.
Brian, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
But you just reminded me of something, Brian. As I was when I was on Pierce this morning, I put out the quote where Charlie Kirk said the Civil Rights Act was a bad thing.
Yeah,
and there was a white woman on the panel who defended what Charlie Kirk said. How can you have a discussion with somebody who thinks it's okay to say the Civil Rights Act was a bad thing for the country? How can you talk to somebody like that?
They're not in reality. They're not.
Well, because he believes in Jesus, so he must be right, which he's clearly not. And I'm hoping and helping to get the people to see the light, because I've just been posting quotes multiple times a day. I've been just posting quotes.
Keep doing it.
And then giving Charlie Kirk his due.
Yeah, keep up the pressure.
Guess what I did? Guess what I did this morning before I went on Pierce? I rolled together about 10 or 15.
Found a fabulous hat.
Thank you. 10 or 15 quotes of some of the most horrific things that Charlie Kirk had to say. And I read them on Pierce's show today. And I did that. Not because I'm happy with what happened to Charlie Kirk, not because I'm celebrating what happened to him. I think that's terrible. But to show people this man was not a good
This
person.
is what you're looking up to. This is what you're crying about. This is the kind of person who was full of hate. He said terrible things about black women. He said terrible things about women. And he wasn't a Holocaust denier, but he said it was nowhere near the amount of Jews that were killed, that was an oversell, and that they were just using it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just a terrible person.
I agree. If you're a MAGA supporter or you're a supporter of Charlie Kirk, I would like to have civil discourse with you. Tell me where you think I'm wrong. Number to call is 702-221-SAVE. Why you think we both wrong? 702-221-7283.
Yeah, let's
see. Let's go to Julie. Julie is next up on PTL. What's going on, Julie? Hi.
Hey, I know this is a little off topic, but yesterday when I went to go get medication for my concussion, guess how much medication cost?
$300.
I'm afraid to ask.
$14. And that's after a bunch of coupons have been added.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How much?
Insurance didn't cover the pain medicine.
Oh, and you said it was covered when Joe Biden was president?
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, there you go.
Before the whole Medicare cut, I had my surgery, so I got like this benzo thing and high strength ibuprofen. Well, this was a higher strength ibuprofen pill. It wasn't covered, but when I had my surgery and the Medicare cuts hadn't been put in, it did cover it.
Right. Well, listen, I'm sorry. As I've said from day one, Julie, and I continue to say, and you're right, this is a little bit off topic, but I'll quickly say that the big and beautiful bill, over 15 million people are going to lose their medical coverage. We've talked about that, and we know that. Millions of people are going to lose food stamps. This is what the Republican Party is doing. Okay, make no mistake about it. As my phone goes off, by the way, in the middle of my show.
That's an interesting ring.
Yeah, I do have an interesting ring. Thank you for the call, my dear. I appreciate you. 702-221-7283. My phone ring used to be the
Nunchuck, is your ringer on? Okay, well, we're good.
Mine is on.
Mine was on.
My phone ring used to be the Curb Your Enthusiasm song. All right, let's get back to the phone calls at 702-221-7283. Again, that number 702-221-7283. And then we got to go back to the YouTube super chat because
got several.
Yeah, we got a lot of people that I want their voices to be heard. Let's go to Aaron. Aaron is calling out of Tennessee. Okay.
Hi.
Yes.
No, I'm actually calling from Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Colorado. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, so it's hard for me to talk about because I don't usually talk about it, but I am trans. I've been trans all of my life. I'm married to my wonderful husband. We've been married for almost 20 years. Mm-hmm. Thank God that I'm passable so that I don't have to go out and get discriminated against physically or personally.
Yeah.
But since this happened, even just Trump being president, I have never felt in all of my life the amount of fear. I mean, even like having my medical records possibly gone through, someone finding out and putting me on a list.
I want to ask you, and
horrifying.
I'm sorry for what you're going through, and obviously I support you. How does it make you feel when we talk about these mass casualty events across the country, and I think less than 1% of them are carried out by trans people, yet the far right keeps attacking people like you. I mean, it gets me angry and it makes my blood boil. I can't even imagine how that makes somebody like you feel. Horrified
And angry. I mean, just the rhetoric, even from Mace alone. I'm more conscious when I go out. I'm just fearful. And Kirk has said disgusting, vile things.
He says trans surgery shouldn't happen at all. He said it should have been abolished. He says trans surgery should not happen. Just get therapy is what he said, which is obviously absurd. And Charlie Kirk never had any medical degrees. In fact, he didn't even have a college degree. And he's telling people what to do with their bodies. And he's making statements. And sadly, he had a very large following. And people listened to him. And this rhetoric, this anti-trans rhetoric, by the way, I defended people like you today because I gave it to Riley Gaines today on the Pierce Morgan show. I just gave it to her.
I haven't seen that yet.
I absolutely unloaded on her. And she deserved it, quite frankly, because make no mistake about it. Riley Gaines, and the reason why we know her name, makes a living attacking people like you. She makes tons of money across the country making speeches, not because she was a really good swimmer. I won't take that away from her.
She says terrible, shocking, terrible things.
And I called her out for that. I called her out for it. And somebody needed to do that. I've never seen anybody call her out for that. She is a grifter, and she is no better than Charlie Kirk from the aspect of spreading hatred and bigotry to make money.
I appreciate voices like you for the trans community that doesn't have a voice right now.
Well, you hang in there, and I know you're scared right now.
Anything.
Just hang in there.
Call me crazy. Unless I'm dating you, I don't care what's between your legs. I care what's in your heart. I care if you're a good person. I don't care what you do with your body. Now, it's a personal preference, right? We all have personal preference. I wouldn't date somebody that's trans, but it's not because I don't like you. It's just, it's just not my thing, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to be friends with you. I know trans people. I don't understand how people can wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and say they hate somebody or they dislike somebody.
Which is popular right now.
I don't understand how you could think like that based on skin color or sexuality, or because somebody has trans surgery. That's a reason for me to not like you and attack you. They were saying that about the Charlie Kirk murder. They were saying that it was a trans shooter. Nancy Mace went on Pierce today, and she lied. She said,
I didn't see that.
Well, Nancy Mace went on the show when I was on the show, and she was talking about truth. And I said to Pierce, how ironic that Nancy Mace wants to talk about truth when she said a trans shooter was responsible for this, and she never apologized or retracted.
None of them will.
She said the school shooter in Minneapolis she thought was trans.
Well, the first day they said something about trans on the bullet, which turned out to be a product stamp. I think said TRN. It didn't say anything about trans, but they made a big deal about it because they were taking the opportunity. But I think that
the majority of the trans community is kind and loving and accepting, and we're horrified by what happened. But I'm even more horrified by what is happening on the right when it comes to issues like this.
Aaron, every segment of society, every segment, men, women, trans, LGBTQ, every single segment of society has a couple of bad people. And you can't blame it on any one specific thing. But I can tell you this, they just came out with a stat recently that they're trying to erase, that most of the violence in America is somewhere between 62% and 75% of, guess what? Right wing.
Makes sense to me. Let me tell you something. I respect you for calling in. I'm sorry for what you're going through. I'll always have people like you and have your back. And I will always call out people like Nancy Mace, the disgrace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and even the Charlie Kirks of the world. I'm sorry what happened to him, but he was very hateful when it came to people that are trans.
He had a lot of hate in his heart.
Okay, I agree.
Not a good guy.
Let's go to Darlene. Darlene is next on PTL. What's up, Darlene?
Darling, I'm happy to be on your platform. I do listen to you. I'm proud of you guys. I'm hoping you stay strong.
Do you have the radio on?
Do me a huge favor and lower your radio because it's really hard for us to hear you, and I want to be able to hear you clearly if you can, my dear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Can you hear me now? Okay, I'm telling you, I want to say that I'm happy to meet you guys. You guys are so wonderful. I'm kind of happy right now, but I want to tell you something. I had a dream that Elon Musk. I had a dream that Elon Musk was a chick.
It's really, my dear, I want you to try to call back, but if you, because I want to give you the platform and I appreciate your kind words, but it's very difficult to hear you when your radio is on in the background. So please do me a favor next time. You're welcome to call back anytime, but it's really hard to hear you, my dear. But I do appreciate your kind words. Thank you. Let's go to Sonia. Sonia is next up on PTL. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi, Sonia.
I'm Jewish and I'm terrified what's going on in this country, and I really feel sick about it, and it's terrible. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say.
We are in very dangerous times in this country right now. The politics right now is probably at an all-time high as far as people that are heated on both sides, but I'm very worried as well, not just for people that are Jewish or brown. I'm worried about everybody, and that's why it's so important. And I believe that Democrats that are in office have been saying all the right things. That's another thing on the show that happened today. Riley Gaines said all the elected officials are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. I immediately called her a liar. And I said, can you name me one elected official that has done that? And of course she couldn't name me one because she's an idiot.
It's all propaganda with her.
Yeah, and
Sonia, can I ask Sonia a question?
Go ahead.
When you go to, I don't know if you're, you go to synagogue or whatever, but do you fear for your safety? Do you think it's a little more dangerous out there, being in the Jewish faith?
It's not so much. I mean, where I live, there are a lot of rednecks around me, and I shouldn't even say that. But I heard today 2 gentlemen were hung. One of in Mississippi, and I've noticed that no one even is talking about.
No, they're trying to keep it out of the news. They're doing everything they can.
Well, that's not fair, and that's not right, and it should come out, and that's why I'm scared.
I am scared as well, my dear. We got your back. Let's get through this together. It's not going to be easy. We all should be scared of where this country is going and where it's headed, but we have to fight, and we have to call out bigotry, racism, bad people. And I really do appreciate you calling in, and please call back. And we're all scared. There's nothing wrong with being scared. It's warranted. You should be scared.
You could hear it in her voice. You could hear that she's
sure,
very timid about it.
Yep, I don't blame her. 702-221-7283. Marilyn is next up on PTL. Hi, Marilyn.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Hi, Marilyn.
What's on your mind today?
Well, there's a lot. There's so much going on. But I'm from Arkansas, and my daughter just called me and told me about this teacher that was forced to resign because of something she had put on Facebook about Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I looked into it, and it was from the Pea Ridge School District in Arkansas. And I called them, the administrative offices, and asked them how something so ridiculous could happen. And they got very offensive about it and hung up on me.
Well, here's my opinion on this, okay? And you guys can tell me what you think about this, okay? Here's my opinion. If you're one of those people that goes on social media and you're representing a company and you're celebrating what happened to Charlie Kirk, you probably deserve to lose your job. However,
and I understand that,
but there's a but though.
Doesn't
right? But there's
I'm sorry.
That's okay. But there's a caveat to that. Okay, if you're one of those people that just put out one of his quotes, or you say he was a bad guy,
some people just said, "I don't care."
Yeah,
it doesn't affect me. I don't care. Got fired.
That is not something that you should be fired for. Okay, if you take it to the extreme
not.
and you're celebrating it or condoning it, then I think that's probably you deserve to be fired.
Well,
But,
no,
but if
I
you're
don't
saying,
think.
Do you know what she said, Marilyn? Do you know what she said?
No, I'm not on Facebook. I don't do that crap anymore. But my daughter was telling me that it was just saying that he was a racist, which is well known. He was, and that the lady had worked in the Department of Education for 18 years and was forced to resign. That's all I know about it. But I did call the Pea Ridge administrative offices for the school district, and they basically hung up on me.
Brian,
but
you think the subsequent lawsuits
one
are
of
going to
my
be successful?
points is this: when you've got the president and the vice president and the attorney general telling people to call people's jobs and have them fired over their free speech, that is government overreach. And those people should not. Who's protecting the public and who's protecting? I will not be forced to grieve for a racist. I won't. And I will not be quiet. The man has proven himself and shown the world who he is. And then the Republicans want to make him into a fucking saint.
Whoa. We got to watch our language. We can't do that. We can't. You got to watch.
Say the F word, Marilyn.
Yeah, got to watch your language on this. It's a radio show, but I do appreciate you calling in. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Again, that number is 702-221-7283, the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. I do want to go to the YouTube super chat, if I may. Nancy says lynchings are now happening in North Carolina. Cowpoke says, as a general rule, we don't. There's exceptions, but it's very rare. Cowpoke is talking about, obviously, a hanging of an African-American, which is obviously a horrible thing, and he's making the case for that. Call Me Little Sunshine says, I caught between a rock and a hard place. Not sure exactly what that means in regards to what we're talking about, but maybe you can
call me Little Sunshine.
Yeah, I guess. Niles Cooper says, Brian, if Epstein was the only one on the list, was Al Capone just smuggling booze to feed his own drinking problem? That's an interesting and funny comment. You're right. Let's go to let's see. Mama says, sorry, I'm late. However, I'm listening. Well, thank you, Mama Lisa. I appreciate that. WTF over says, some of those who work forces are the same that burn crosses. Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah,
by the way,
I love that song.
A big fan of Rage Against the Machine. They're a good bunch of guys.
Good song.
Trey says, Charlie said kids don't deserve free school lunch. Well, you're right about that.
Who said that?
Charlie Kirk did say that. Peter says, pro-Trump rapper Blow released a song 4 days ago called Good versus Evil, and it's literally about lynching. Then something literally happens like this. WTF. Yeah, you're right. It's horrible. The Weirdo says, I wonder if people on the right will be offended if I have a sign that says justice for Trey Reed at the Kirk Memorial this weekend. You know what, The Weirdo? I think you should do that. I think you should do that.
It's a little dangerous, but
well, I mean, be careful, but I think you should do that. I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that's the right thing. Heck, I would do that. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. We're going to get back to the phone calls here. Let's see. Let's go to Leah. I'm sorry. Actually, let's go to Scott. Scott is next up on PTL. Hey, Scott. Thanks for calling into PTL. What's on your mind?
The hypocrisy of these people, man. Like, say one thing, do another. Democrats should be nice. We should apologize. All
Not
that.
Anymore.
Yes, it frustrates me. I'm not a nice Democrat. I'm not kumbaya. I don't want to hold their hand and be nice to them. But
well, I gotta tell you, I would love to take a walk in the park and hold Marjorie Taylor Greene's hand. That would be a lot of fun. I'm just kidding. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What did Robbie say about her legs? Horse legs?
Horse legs, yeah. Strong horse legs. By the way,
I was dying when I saw that video.
We got to get Robbie Roadsteamer back on the.
Yeah,
so funny.
So one of the things that frustrates me is being called like socialist and communist, but like these people are the first to go get Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps, Social Security.
What about corporate welfare?
Yeah.
What about the corporations that are
Corporate
getting
welfare,
and they're
yep.
about to bail out a bunch of farmers with public money?
Yeah, again, like 2017, 2018 again. How about you just let them sell their food, man?
I agree.
You know, how about we help the poor in America and stop belittling the poor and putting them down?
Yep.
I don't think most white people know that when this country was formed, you couldn't even be a citizen if you didn't own property. You know, so even if you were white, you didn't have privilege. So
yeah, you're right. You're right. I completely agree with you.
Thanks,
you're right.
Scott.
Really good phone call, Scott, and I appreciate the call. Antonio on the YouTube super chat says freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequence. Tone it down, everyone. Love each other. Well, Antonio, in a perfect world, I wish we could do that. You know, the president once again had another opportunity, and he blamed everything on the radical left.
Before he knew anything.
Imagine for a moment, Leonard, if the president of the United States, we know Donald Trump is not capable of this, but I'm just putting a hypothetical out there. If Donald Trump said, we need to tone down the rhetoric on both sides. What happened to Charlie Kirk is terrible. We have to love one another. We have to have, political discourse without violence. If he just said, let's all tone it down, lives would be saved. Instead, he blames the radical left with his hatred and division. You couldn't have a worse president right now under these circumstances, in my opinion.
Well, I sort of
Trump.
disagree. Would love each other, and we got to. Here's the thing: they got the Democrats don't have anybody who's a strong leader. Gavin Newsom's doing a pretty good job. He's a little sarcastic. He stands up. He's doing what he can in California, but I think the days of we have to fight fire with fire. I mean, that's just the way I look at it. And if we don't get a Democratic leader that's willing to stand up,
I agree, but it doesn't mean that we should be celebrating somebody who loses their life.
No, I don't advocate that at all.
If the right wants to do that, I think it's despicable. We shouldn't be attacking, transgenders. And
I don't wish bad health on anybody, because
well, that's the difference.
It's very bad for your karma.
It's the fundamental difference, in my opinion, between most Republicans and Democrats today. I'll give you an example of what I am talking about. When Mitch McConnell was like freezing up, and I guess we're not doctors, but we could all assume that
kind of like a stroke.
The first person to pick up the phone and call him was Joe Biden. I didn't hear one Democrat say, "You deserve it." Nothing like that. There was empathy for him. But after Paul Pelosi was bludgeoned with a hammer, it was the Charlie Kirks of the world that was celebrating. They were laughing. They were making jokes. Ted Cruz and Matt Gaetz
said terrible things about Nancy Pelosi.
Matt Gaetz and Ted Cruz were spreading conspiracy theories that it was a gay relationship, and he let him in. They never retracted anything. And it is the fundamental difference between Republicans and Democrats today. Charlie Kirk believed that empathy, I got to stop saying his name because I'm getting sick and tired of it now. But he said that
let's just call him Charlie.
Empathy was a bad thing. So should we be surprised? 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's go to Lamb. Lamb is next up on PTL. Hello, Lamb.
Yes, Brian. I want to say that if we're going to start firing people or getting people off their job because of what they say on social media, then I want to go back to between 2008 and 2016. And anybody that said anything derogatory or bad about Barack Obama, including the one in the White House, they all need to lose their job.
Well, then we're going to the point of if you insult somebody, and I certainly don't agree with that. I think here's what I do agree with, okay, or understand, and you could tell me whether you disagree. If you're working for a company, let's just say you're the
private company.
Yeah, let's just say you're working for a private company, and one of your employees is celebrating the murder of somebody. It could be anybody. Is that the kind of person that you want representing your company?
No.
Okay, good. So we agree on that. It doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or Republican. Now, here's where I agree with you on as well. Just because you don't like somebody, like I didn't like Charlie Kirk, or just because you quote him as some have and say, I'm not going to shed a tear, is not a reason to fire somebody. You don't have to like somebody. It doesn't mean you have to celebrate what happened to him, because I'm certainly not doing that. So I think
nobody is.
Right, exactly. So you agree with me. There's a line that you should never cross. Like the first assassination attempt of Donald Trump, I wasn't, smiling all day and saying, oh, wow, that's great. Because you know why? It's not because I feel for Donald Trump. It's because it's bad for the country. What happened to Charlie Kirk? What happened to Charlie Kirk is bad for the country. Obviously, his kids, it's a horrible situation. But this is bad for the country. Doesn't mean you had to like Charlie Kirk. Did you see what I'm trying to remember her name, the actress who took a lot of flack yesterday? Jamie Lee Curtis. Thank you, Numchuck. I could always
she
rely
didn't even
on
say anything that bad.
Jamie Lee Curtis was getting emotional as a Christian woman, and she said, I didn't stand for anything that Charlie Kirk represented. But for God's sakes, he was a father, he was a husband, and we shouldn't be celebrating. And the left, people on the far left were attacking her for that. And I'm like, what did she say that was so bad? She's a decent human being. We shouldn't be celebrating. That's all I'm saying.
Brian, let me say this. What you said about Mitch McConnell was perfect. When you saw Mitch McConnell standing there having a stroke or whatever that was, nobody on the left said, yay, he's about to die.
Right.
Nobody. They said, oh my God, what's going on?
Certainly not.
Let's find out.
Not any elected officials, that's for sure. I mean, you can't control what people say on social media, my friend. But
you could disagree with him and hope he's okay. You looked at it and you said, I hope he's all right.
Joe Biden was the first person to call Mitch McConnell. How do we know that? Because Mitch McConnell told everybody. Guess who didn't call him? Guess. Donald Trump. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Mike. Mike is next on PTL. Hey, Mike, what's going on, man?
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
So I am a big, brown, gay Italian man that's very masculine looking, passable, right? So I am being attacked, and there's a possibility that I could be attacked in my job because somebody tagged a Republican representative on Facebook about my comment. My comment was that I reserve my empathy for the children that were shot that day, same day as Charlie Kirk. I did not know about these two black men that were hung, and I was worried about my job and getting fired. But now, after I hear that, I do not care. I don't care at all. They could all come for me. This guy made a comment. The guy that tagged the Republican representative, I looked up his information. I found everything. So I don't understand why people are being so loud with their voices, but
it sounds to me like there's nothing wrong with what you said, Mike. There was nothing wrong with what you said. Those were your true feelings, and I don't think they should attack you for it.
I got to put it this way, okay? I've had multiple surgeries this year, and not once did I ever think that this person's skin color, genitals, or sexual orientation would get in the way of saving my life. And I am here today, and this man is 6 feet under because he said, whoa, 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 you're a black lesbian, you're about to remove my appendix. Didn't this man also, advocate for gun deaths every year so they can maintain the Second Amendment?
He said that a few gun deaths, he was willing to accept that. In order to keep the Second Amendment alive. He had no understanding of gun rights.
Let me reemphasize this, though. Obviously, we can't condone what took place. I know he said a lot of terrible things, but I will say this. I do find this very ironic, and I've been saying this all week, is that in the last moments, in fact, the last seconds of Charlie Kirk's life, he was asked about some of these mass casualty events, and he attacked transgenders, and in the last second of his life, the last words that came out of his mouth when he was asked about all these shootings, he said, well, are you including gang violence? What he really is saying is, are you including all the black people that do bad things?
That's what it sounded like.
And then that was the last thing that Charlie Kirk said. Okay. That was the last thing that he said. That's what I'm going to remember him for. I don't know about you guys. I don't think he deserves a medal. I'm tired of talking about him. I'm mentally exhausted. I've covered it ad nauseum. And for me, it's time to move on. I want to know personally, in my personal opinion, I want to know what happened to Trey Reed. I want to know why Kash Patel wouldn't answer a direct question today in D.C., whether he told Pam Bondi if Trump was in the Epstein files. I want to come up with solutions to make sure political violence doesn't happen in this country. And for all you MAGA Republicans out there that want to obsess over transgenders, and for all you MAGA Republicans out there that want to say it's all happening on the left, you are doing a disservice to this country, and you are following Donald Trump's lead. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. Let's see here. Let's go to Cynthia. Cynthia's next on PTL. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
All right, because I'm just going to say straight up, I think there is a disconnect between more affluent people in this country that would be leftist and more everyday people who are affluent or not affluent. I mean,
okay.
So the non-affluent are more than happy to dance on Charlie Kirk. Don't care. The more affluent people who have more to lose, and you guys, it seems like, you know, we need to be civil, and that's okay because you guys probably aren't living paycheck to paycheck. You're not as subject to the violence maybe and all that hateful rhetoric. But at the end of the day, it's like, we do need strong leaders. We do need democratic leaders that are strong.
Sure.
Now, from what I understand, there is evidence that suggested when looked at the data, not that they were able to verify with the actual papers, the actual votes, but the data does suggest the last 3 elections where Trump won had been rigged in his favor. They show signs of Russian comment tails, whatever all that means. I'm not a data analysis. It's out there. People can look for themselves. That said, that's more than enough to basically be like, well, maybe we should investigate it. And if the data were to hold true, that means Kamala Harris did in fact win. If the data is true, if all that is true without verification, we can't really know. But if that's the case, now it's different because again, you guys and Kamala is more on the affluent side. I'm on the less affluent. I'm a very petty B word. I would be fighting like hell because
but she didn't fight.
I would not want to give up something
not
important.
to interrupt you, but she didn't fight. She didn't challenge the count.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for at least, acknowledging it. But that basically means that, and just to put it in the very brutal way to put it, like, basically people were not wrong to say, like, if Kamala Harris was president, because she was, not that she was more than less than a day, because she didn't even make it a day, without literally giving power over to an orange wannabe PDF file dictator.
Yeah.
Like literally, not even a single day. So I'm tired of people saying like, well, why didn't enough people vote for it? Well, first off, I think probably maybe enough people did. She didn't challenge the election results. So maybe enough people did. But the part of the problem is like she literally the one thing the right wing accused her of, she basically proved them right. So it's like, it's almost complete insanity. And then the whitewashing of Governor Newsom and the Democrats, because let's not forget, I didn't know this growing up. I went and I'm giving too much information probably now about myself. I wanted to be a cop because I was dumb. I was young, full of something that rhymes with dumb. I wanted to be a cop to help people, not knowing like what being a cop really is like. And I found mostly it just hurts people and this or that. And it's just, I don't even know. I'm so mad. I can't even remember where I was going with this, but it's just, the laws definitely do not apply to just the regular Joes and s'mores of the thing. And it's just, if you got ranked, you could literally just, I don't know, I'm going to make up something totally not real now. Keep that in mind. You could run over a guy drunk like a skunk and flee the scene and you'll be all right. But God forbid you're that one seaman that is late a minute past curfew. You're going to be confined to your ship without pay.
Listen, the justice system, I like to call the justice system sometimes the
injustice system.
Injustice system. So I certainly understand where we were going, that my friend, and I appreciate your call. Let's go to Sandy. Sandy's next up on PTL. Hey, Sandy, what's going on?
Yes, I am an African-American lady here in Texas, a mom of 2 boys in college. And this Trey Reed thing has me on edge.
Can you do me a favor? Sandy, I want to hear you, but you sound very muffled. So if you can talk into your phone, that'd be great.
Okay. Is this any better?
That sounds better. Go right ahead.
Okay. I'm a mom of 2 African-American boys that are currently in college. And what I feel right now is rage because they are in a small town in East Texas in college. And what has honestly been on my mind is allowing them to arm themselves. We have open carry law here in Texas, and it's just scary. I call them daily. The world that we live in today is so scary. I think back to Nancy Mace's comment when they were interviewing her prior to announcement that Charlie Kirk had passed away. And she went on a tyrant about this is the left, this is the left. But after they found out that it wasn't a black, it wasn't a gay, it wasn't an illegal, it was a white guy from Utah, cricket.
Yeah.
The next day when they asked Trump, well, what are your thoughts about Charlie Kirk? He rattled off something really quick and then went to the ballroom that he's building. Trump doesn't care about the everyday average American.
He doesn't even care about. I got news for you. He doesn't even care about Charlie Kirk. He was asked the other day, "How are you holding up?" "Oh, I'm fine." And then he just started talking about other stuff like the ballroom and other weird stuff. I mean, this man has no empathy. He claims he spoke to Charlie Kirk several times a week. Doesn't even bring him up anymore. I mean, he's just a narcissist and a man that has literally zero empathy.
I agree. And with the Trey Reed, my prayer is that they do a thorough investigation, not with the campus police or the city police. I believe there should be a federal investigation into this young man's hanging.
Not just that, I want an investigation into the local police department. Why did they lie to this young man's family? Why did they say it was not suspicious? If you see somebody hanging from a tree, you think automatically, oh, nobody could have done that to him. He must have done it himself. No logical person would think like that. But these police officers down there and they are hiding something. And I want to know what they're hiding. I want them investigated. But guess what? You'll never hear that from Pam Bondi. You'll never hear that from Kash Patel. If that was somebody with a MAGA hat, they would be all over it. But it's a young black man. And I guarantee you 100% Donald Trump either doesn't know his name, doesn't know about it, or refuses to talk about it. I guarantee you.
The medical examiner, by the way, just updated and said it's going to be a few days before they can tell us what happens.
Thank you for the call, my dear. I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much. Yeah. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to George. George is next up on PTL. Hey, George, what's going on?
Hey, Brian.
Hey.
So all this news is definitely it left me like really shaken, but it also brought up something that Charlie Kirk actually brought up with regards to immigration and the way ICE is treating immigrants. But it also matches how do I say it, a kind of conclusion I've come to that I really hate coming to, and I guess I really wanted to talk to you about it. And it goes like this: all these horrible things that ICE is doing, the suspending the basic due process, habeas corpus, and just locking them away in foreign prisons, that seems to actually in some ways be effective, and it's been a quick solution that actually is lowering immigration.
Yeah,
and it disgusts me to say that, but it's kind of having to come to terms with that, after going through a 5 stages of grief process. And I've got a tweet by Charlie Kirk here where he says, "You may think alligator Alcatraz is a bit much. You may think ICE raids at Home Depots are harsh. You may think sending gangbangers to a top security Salvadorian prison seems cruel, but each leads to thousands and eventually millions of self-deportations. When illegals know there are real consequences for breaking into America, many, perhaps a majority, will conclude it's no longer worth the risk."
Well, and Leonard just said it. Leonard just said it correctly, my friend. That it does sound like
sociopath to me.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Because he's saying that the ends justify the means, irregardless of what the means are.
Yeah.
As long as it serves his purpose.
That's an absurd statement. I appreciate your call, my friend. Thank you so much. Mama Lisa is next up on PTL.
Mona
Hello.
Lisa?
It says Mama Lisa.
Lisa.
What's on your mind today?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay, this here, Mama Lisa. I don't know where to start. I'm just a little nervous here. I hear the people come after the people when they got their own opinion and carrying on. However, as I'm a senior citizen, an old black woman here, don't bother nobody, never did.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of scary what's going on here. When I turned 18, my mama encouraged all of us to vote. This here is a true story. I ain't telling you all no fables. We was directed to vote Democrat there. Mm-hmm. Didn't know why. You know, when you're young, you just don't know.
Mama Lisa, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 63 years old. I turned 63 this year.
All right. Well, I want to ask you a question because obviously Leonard and I are enraged at this situation that has taken place with this young man who was hanging from a tree. And the local law enforcement originally said that there was nothing suspicious about it. As a black woman in her early 50s, how does that make you feel to know that there are actually police officers out there, and Leonard is one of the good ones, but there are actual police officers out there that can see a young black man hanging from a tree, and their response to that would be nothing suspicious here. As a young black,
nothing to see. Everybody move on.
What do you make of that?
Okay, first, look here. He was probably paid off there and scared on the other hand. What do? You know, that they come after him and his family.
Yeah.
That's what I really believe. You know, that he was paid off to say certain things. If it wasn't paid, he was made to say it.
I tend that might be true. I want to ask you one more question, my dear. What would you say to the 20% of black people in this country that are men that voted for Donald Trump?
Well, look here. We looking for something. They didn't vote for him because they just know he was that way, racist and all, and can't.
They
we was
had to
looking for change. I'm just totally being honest now. Don't get mad at me in the chatting can. Ask me a question, I'm going to answer it.
Nobody's mad at you, Mama Lisa. Sorry.
Change, change, because the way the Democratic Party was going, it was going just too far, the people thought, that it wasn't doing nothing for the black people.
Mm-hmm.
That we had found out, it's a lot of knowledge out there now that we didn't figure. Yeah. I'm going to tell you a story that my what they call the things that your alma mater or your thing, my high school, you know what it was? The rebel flag. And we wore it proudly because we didn't know. They didn't tell us, and we didn't research ourselves.
Yep.
But it's not that they done changed it all now. You understand?
Yeah, no,
when I speak, I ain't speaking no fable.
No, I know that.
What I know.
I know that. Listen, Mama Lisa, I definitely want you to call back. I love hearing from people like you. I really do. And that's why I wanted to get your perspective and by the way, you're a young woman, you're in your early 50s. I'm an old man, by the way. I'm 45, but I feel like an old man.
I'm older than you.
But I appreciate your call, Mama Lisa. Thank you so much.
I'm older than both of you.
702-221-7283 is the number to call. I like Mama Lisa. I want her to call back. Miss Johnson is next. Hello, Miss Johnson.
Hello, Brian.
Hi.
I can't marry you because I'm way too old for you.
I date older women, that's for sure.
I remember
Let's not
Leonard.
count you out.
I used to live in Newark, so I remember Leonard. So here's my thing. I'm trying to cook because I'm always cooking when I hear you on the TV and stuff. So what I want to say today is, and I think this is so funny, do you remember when Obama was president?
Of course. Yeah, sure. I met Barack Obama.
So
yeah, absolutely.
I love him.
Yep.
So the guest speaker, the House Speaker that used to sit, if you're looking at your television, would sit on the right-hand side. That man hated Obama. Every time Obama got in front, was saying something to, everybody, he would just shake his head. No. Well, guess what? And I'm bringing it up because these are facts.
Right.
That's why you have to be careful about what you say about people of any race, color, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
His daughter married a man straight from Kingston, Jamaica.
Right.
The man's dreads was almost to his ankles. And I thought that was so funny because he made it well known he wasn't crazy about black people. And he couldn't stand Obama. And then I saw pictures of the wedding in a magazine. And he looked like he was just, his face was like magneted, if that's a word, to the ground. Like he was so unhappy. So we got all these kids out here now, whether you're in grade school, high school, and college. And so if you're a racist person, you're teaching your children the wrong things because you can't go to high school or you can't go to college and pick your roommate. And so when these kids actually find out that you've been lying to them, and then when they get around other people and they see what you've been telling them is not true. And I believe that's why they act out a lot of times.
I don't think
I
you're,
really do.
I don't think you're wrong about that. I think there's a lot of different reasons why people act out the way they do. I think some of it is upbringing. I think some of it is parents or lack thereof. I think people can be radicalized. I think social media is one of the worst things that happened in our society. I would also say that I think, watching certain TV shows and, certain radio shows, not this one. I don't think I'm brainwashing anybody, but I do think there's a lot of radio shows that do that with people that are far more influential than I am. And I do believe Charlie Kirk was one of those people. I said his name one more time. I said I would.
He was in the millions. Maybe we should call him Captain. Captain Kirk.
702-221-7283 is the number to call.
Sorry.
Let's see.
A little bit of humor.
Caractacus, I think is on the phone now. Caractacus. Hi, how are you? Caractacus. My apologies. Go right ahead.
Caractacus.
All right, I just want to make a comment here about what's going on. Caractacus.
Yep.
Okay. Donald Trump is in the UK. He's not following protocol. That's a story for another day. What I want to make a statement about is Russia, China, North Korea, and India, they're becoming best friends now. And he's over in the UK, not minding the store. Who's minding the store while all this is going on?
It's true. President Xi, Vladimir Putin, and Kim Jong-un had a meeting together. Did they have a meeting under Joe Biden? It's interesting. Donald Trump always says, never would have happened if I was president. Interesting. They didn't have that meeting under Joe Biden. I wonder why they're having that meeting now. Well, I'll beg to maybe share some opinions on. They're probably talking a little bit about Donald Trump. Even Donald Trump admitted they were scheming something against
Russia,
the United States of
Ukraine is
America.
getting worse. He said he would solve that war.
Yeah.
He didn't solve the war. They entered Gaza City, and now they're on ground troops, have taken over Gaza City. So the war continues with Israel.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you for the call, my friend. I really do appreciate you, and I'm sorry for pronouncing your name wrong. That's my bad. Let's go to Claire. Claire is next up on PTL. What's up, Claire?
Hi, Brian. Hi, Leonard.
Hi, Claire.
Hi. I just wanted to tell you a little story of something that happened to me online after Charlie Kirk was killed. I'm still a little upset about it. I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I never listened to him. I mean, I'm a moderate Democrat. I don't think he'd ever come up in my algorithm, but I was looking online and I saw all the stories about him. And then I had heard what the president said. And of course, I was appalled by that because he's got the biggest microphone in this country and always blames people. So I put a comment on a news site that I really thought, again, he missed another opportunity to reunite the country, and blamed it on, half of the country. Even though he says radical left, I mean, these people don't know the difference, So I put that comment on, and I said, oh my God, this is terrible. I didn't know him, but he, the president, shouldn't have said this. So I get immediately, in my messenger, someone threatened my job and said, you will be reported to your employer. And I wasn't worried about that because I felt my comment was so considerate and just, these are my thoughts. And I don't even think we have that ability anymore just to be,
We did. We used to.
Complain about
I go back 10 years ago, okay, when I really first started covering politics for a living. Even at the end of Barack Obama's term, we certainly had a lot of division. But I will say that Republicans and Democrats, even under George W. Bush and Bill Clinton, Republicans and Democrats were at least able, for the most part, to be able to have civil discourse.
And you could say what you wanted online. You could express yourself online. You didn't have to worry about losing your job or getting the attention of the FBI or some group. There's a group out there that compiles information and sends out your information to other entities so they know that what you're talking about. And 10 years ago, there was none of that. There was freedom of speech.
Yeah.
I think the First Amendment's under attack.
Well, just ask Pam Bondi, who just said hate speech. We're going to go after you and we're going to target you. There's actually a lot of Republicans, and I do give those Republicans some credit for going after Pam Bondi for making those statements because they're utterly absurd. And most Republicans are against what she said. I mean, what an imbecile.
So if a couple's getting divorced and the husband or the wife says openly, I can't stand her, I can't stand him, I really hate them, I really hate, I hope something bad. So all of a sudden that's illegal now?
Absolutely.
You can't say I hate that person anymore.
She tried to walk back her comments yesterday, just like she tried to walk back the comments when she said the Epstein list was on her desk.
She said absolutely when she said it.
Yeah, I know what she
We
said.
are absolutely going
she's an
after these
imbecile.
people.
Just like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and all the other idiots that are in Donald Trump's administration, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., they're imbeciles, and they have no qualifications to be in that spot. But even worse, they're dangerous for America.
You know what Trump said? Smart people don't like him. He said
true. No, you're right. Let's go to Frankie. Frankie's next up on PTL. Hey, Frankie, what's going on? We just hung up on Frankie by accident. Sorry about that, Frankie. Who are we going to? Let's go to Frank. What's up, Frank? I think we lost Frank. 702-221-7283. Let's see. Let's go to door number 3. Let's go to Joe. Joe is next up on PTL. Hey, Joe, what's going on?
Hey, Brian, how's it going?
Good. What's on your mind?
I'm just calling because amidst all of the stuff that's been going on in this last week, I mean, I'm a 39-year-old veteran. I made a post on my Facebook. I'm not conservative at all.
For your service.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I basically, I did the thing. About the only reason I go on Facebook is to generally piss off one particular friend who is essentially a caricature of right-wing talking points. But I did I used a couple Bible verses to justify, prayer without action is meaningless. And, if you're just going to say thoughts and prayers, don't say anything, because the Bible also says pray inside your house, And I wonder how you talk to people and deal with them when they just are not receptive at all. They just want to stick on their hill.
Well, I think that's one of the worst characteristics of many MAGA supporters. And I think Leonard would agree with me in that they can't admit they're wrong. Listen, they could lose their health care benefits. They can lose everything. And they still...
I love them. I don't have a problem with it.
Because it's a cult.
I don't have a problem with it.
It's a cult.
Yeah, their reality is not something that... Like if Trump said the earth is flat, and that Fox News said, "Oh, Trump discussed the earth being flat," they would just say, "I believe it. I believe it." Based on what? The science says it's not flat. Well, I believe it is.
It's very simple.
And
Leonard,
I'm proud of him.
You're right. It is a cult. That's what it is with Donald Trump, with so many of his supporters. They can't admit wrong. These were people that were talking about the Epstein files need to be released every single day. But now, all of a sudden, there's a huge cover-up, and they don't want to talk about it. And Donald Trump is calling anybody stupid that talks about it, including his supporters.
Brainwashing.
I mean, he is right. A lot of his supporters are, but for different reasons. 702-221-7283. Let's see here. Let's go to Rich. Rich is next up on PTL. What's going on, Rich?
Hey, I was just thinking, there was a school shooting on the same day as
correct.
The guy we're talking
Denver.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And nobody talked about that. The president didn't. And I was thinking, because I live in Connecticut, and Obama, he made a point to come out with that tragic shooting in Sandy Hook in Newtown.
Correct.
He made such a compassionate speech, and I was always appreciative of the way he handled it.
Yep.
And I'm just thinking, I miss those days of having compassion.
Well, you know what? It's interesting. Correct me if I'm wrong on that school attack, but at least one person lost their life, a young teen. Is that correct?
No. This is when the 26 people were killed. It was like the entire kindergarten class.
You're talking. No, I know. No, sir. I understand. You're talking about Sandy Hook. I understand that. But you also brought up the shooting in Denver on the day Charlie Kirk was. Yeah, I believe there was one young individual that lost their life. Correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure the whole story because it hasn't even been.
Well, listen, I'm friends with a guy that you might have heard of by the name of Fred Gutenberg. He lost his daughter in the Parkland shooting. He is a wonderful man, and my heart goes out to him and his family. And there's so many like him that every day it'll never go away. You lose a child, a loved one, whether we're talking about Sandy Hook or Uvalde, and my heart goes out to them. What bothers me more than anything is that nothing is being done. Republicans don't want to do anything. In fact, they don't even want to talk about it. After the Minneapolis shooting, thoughts and prayers, but they want Charlie Kirk to be honored and statues, and that's more important to them than doing something about all the violence.
There's
in this
no
country.
gun reform bill even on the table right now.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely, it's insane. I appreciate your call, sir. And by the way, I am from Connecticut. I love my Connecticut peeps out there.
Connecticut,
I appreciate you listening. That's right. Central Connecticut State University, baby. Let's see. Who are we going to next here? Let's go to Kathy. Kathy is next up on PTL. Hey, Kathy, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian, you said you were from Connecticut. Have you ever been to the Devil's Den at CCSU?
I have, of course. I used to skip a lot of college classes, and I used to go in the billiard parlor there and hustle people on the pool tables out there back in the day.
Cool. I was at college there, and when I was 18, and at that time we could drink at the Devil's Den. So
the Blue Devils, not Duke, though, not the bad Blue Devils, not Duke.
No, not the bad Blue Devils. We're talking about our kind.
Right.
So I just want to get a little bit serious. There's a couple things I wanted to just talk about. The first thing that I thought about what Mama Lisa said. And I believe, and with all due respect, I think she was kind of wrong on one issue. I think that you saw a lot of Black male voters, not a huge subsection of the population of Black men. I think you saw a number of them kind of gravitate towards Trump because of misogynoir. And when I say that, there are Black men who were actually intimidated with Kamala Harris, or even seeing Black women achieving social status or what have you. And that was a backlash. And then you had people, conservatives like Byron Donalds, who would tell Black men, back in Jim Crow, the family was together. Back in Jim Crow, that, blah, blah, blah.
Byron Donalds and Tim Scott, they have sold their soul to Donald Trump, and they are just
and got nothing for it. Got nothing to show for it.
They are so embarrassing for the country. They really are.
They did. And the second thing that I see that I'm noticing is that this whole hostility, this whole backlash, I think, and this is just my opinion, this is a run-up to 2026.
Yeah.
You see that there is a sizable shift. The resistance, so to speak, is happening. You're seeing people that are resisting this administration instead of submitting to it. So you're going to, and they want to keep power. Republicans want to keep power.
I think Trump knows he's going to lose.
To see these tactics.
Kathy, do you think Trump knows he's going to lose?
Of course he does.
I think so too. I think he knows he's going to lose. And a lot of people are saying now that they're suspicious that he may not even allow an election. There may be a war, or there may be some kind of issue with the safety in America, and he may pause the elections because he knows he's going to lose. So at that time, we better have some Democratic leadership that's really, really strong and has a plan. Right now, I don't hear any plan at all.
Yeah, thank you for the call, by the way, my dear. I appreciate you. Let's go to Kathy. Kathy's next on PTL. What's up, Kathy?
Hi. Is it me?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, there was another Kathy in front of me, and I started talking way too early. You guys just hit on something that I've already thought about, but I wanted to go back to when I first found out about the Trey thing, and also Corey Vickaitis, I think is his name. My only thought was these families are really going to need, maybe possibly, because I don't know their financial situation, a GoFundMe to have private autopsy and private investigation done, because it already seems like this is all being covered up. And then also, you guys just hit on a point, and I lost track. Oh, the thing about Trump wanting to create a war before the elections next year. And I told my husband, and I had him watch the video right when Trump was giving that speech in the White House office, or he was talking to that guy, or he was talking to Zelensky. I am so sorry. He was talking to Zelensky, and Zelensky had mentioned that he was not going to have an election because they were at war. And I don't know if anyone else has actually seen the video of that.
Well, here's what I do know.
Trump brought it up. See that click in his in Trump's brain.
Yeah.
He was like, "Whoa, I'm going to get out of an election."
Here's what I do know. Donald Trump continues to make excuses for Vladimir Putin. He continues to blame Ukraine for the war and criticize Zelensky. In fact, there were just some airstrikes. Did you hear of the airstrikes that Putin did in Poland? And then Donald Trump says, oh, it must have been a mistake. That was his reaction. I mean, we could not have a weaker president right now when it comes to dealing with Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, who, by the way, rolled out the red carpet for him, and we got nothing in return.
They flew drones over Romania, too.
Yeah.
A couple of days
It's
later.
excuse over excuse, Leonard.
And
It's
said
just-
it must have been a You're talking about one of the most prominent militaries on the planet with the highest technology known to man, and 19 drones went into the wrong airspace. Come on.
Yeah, it's so embarrassing that we have a president who coddles dictators like Vladimir Putin and attacks Zelensky. And this war, make no mistake about it, is no closer, maybe even further away now
And
than it was.
pisses off all of our friends.
Yeah, all of our
He pissed
allies.
off all of our friends.
Yeah.
They're all mad at him. They feel like they can't rely on America.
And then he's
They're like,
bragging
what
about
is he
all
doing?
he's bragging about all the world leaders coming to Washington D.C. The reason why they're there is because they don't
They
trust
weren't
him.
there to help him. They
Yeah.
were there because they wanted to make
It's
sure.
so stupid.
That it's like they wanted to be there and make sure that something stupid didn't happen while they weren't
Leonard,
weren't paying attention.
Leonard, he's going to end the war in 24 hours. Thank you for the call, my dear. I appreciate you. So many wonderful phone calls today. I really
24
appreciate it.
hours. He was off a little bit.
No, before he even becomes president, he's going to end the war.
Yeah,
But he
wow.
was just being sarcastic.
Well, and then he said, well, Vladimir Putin kind of lied to me. Well, I think everybody on the planet knew that you couldn't trust what
He's going to end the
Putin was
war in
saying.
24 hours, like Stormy Daniels is saying that he was a stud in bed. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Chris. Chris is next
say
up on
stud?
PTL. What's up?
Stud?
What's up, Chris? I did. I said stud. What's up, Chris?
How you doing? I'd like to just discuss this Trump administration so far, what I've thought about them and this whole handling of the Charlie Kirk tragic death. Listen, I find it ironic that the most brass, emboldened, anti-tone the rhetoric down side of the coin in the GOP and Donald Trump side is all of a sudden now saying, let's tone down the rhetoric, or they spent the whole day immediately. The guy hadn't even been laid to rest. We're saying it's a war immediately. You didn't even know who his killer was, and I refuse to say it was an assassination because Charlie Kirk doesn't even deserve that title. Let's be honest. The man is far from a good person. It's enough to say the word assassination, but I'll say murder.
Absolutely. Obviously, he didn't deserve what happened to him, and I feel for his kids. I think his wife's behavior has been very odd over the course of the last week, but I'm not going to spend time attacking her. She's a grieving wife, but at the same time, I refuse to sit here and say that this man did anything good for society or was this wonderful human being, because the fact of the matter is that he wasn't.
Just because he brought people to the table. Here's the problem. Here's the thing. Any person can bring someone to a table to discuss, but you have to actually bring aside good faith.
Guess who
That's the problem.
Donald Trump brought to the table when he invited Kanye West and Nick Fuentes to Mar-a-Lago for a nice wine and dine. So yeah, bringing
It's
people to
ironic.
the table could mean a lot of different things.
It's ironic, man. It's like the problem. People when they say want to mend bridges, want to unite and mend bridges with their country.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. Too many times you want to give people who are the Flintstones of us of one side the megaphone and not the microphone.
Right.
People who come and bring it.
Right.
Not people of the distance who want to bring solutions and actually solve problems. I'll take a Mitt Romney right now before I take the likes of a Nick Fuentes or Candace Owens.
Mitt
or even
Romney, while I don't always agree with Mitt Romney,
I know
he is a
I agree.
decent
He seems
human
like he has common
being.
sense.
He is. It's not.
It's
But to me, it's even more important. I agree with you, Leonard. But to me, it's even more important than just common sense. He has a sense of decency. Okay.
Yeah.
He has some more. Yeah. Listen, Liz Cheney. 99% of the time, I disagree with her. But at least I have respect. I have respect for her and her father.
You'll bite the bullet and still discuss something with her before before you bring somebody to the table of discussion who literally just come in bad faith and only come either to muddy the water.
Yeah, you're right.
And you know what, Chris? That's the difference between a conservative Republican and a MAGA. Because the conservative Republicans like Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney, those are conservative Republicans with the conservative values, and a MAGA is a completely different animal that has no reasoning ability.
And I like Duncan. I think he's a good dude. And obviously Adam Kinzinger. I certainly
Good
have
guy.
respect for him. At least Massey's on the right side of history when it comes to some stuff lately. There are Republicans out there that have been in office or that are still in office that I do have some respect for, but sadly, they are few and far between because most of the Republicans that are in office right now are afraid of Donald Trump and they're afraid of doing what's right for their constituents because they don't want to lose their power. We call those people cowards. 702-221-7283. Is that Brain or Brian? Brian? Okay.
Brain?
Sometimes people spell my name Brain. My ex-girlfriend once wrote me a letter and did that. Brian, what's going on?
Hi, Brian. I think they spelled my name wrong. It's spelled B-R-Y-A-N, not B-R.
Well, you spell it the wrong way. You spell it the wrong way,
They
sir.
spelled
With
it
all
the wrong
due-
with a D.
With all due respect. What's on your mind today, my friend?
Man, this is so surreal. We're living in some really weird times. For people who praise Donald Trump and say that he is not a divider, after Charlie Kirk's assassination, he immediately makes this partisan statement. I was expecting him to condemn gun violence, as all good leaders should.
I wasn't. I knew he was going to do it. He was going to take
You
the
really
opportunity to blame the left, divide more, because that's the kind of person he is. That's who he is.
He's had so many opportunities to help bring us together, as most presidents do, and he has failed every single time. The man is incapable. He's only thinking about himself and wants to always go on the attack. And there couldn't be a worse time in this country where we need somebody that's not a divider in chief. We need somebody that can bring us together. All the man had to say was what happened to Charlie Kirk was horrible. You could talk about your friendship
Right.
with
The
him. That's
Dems
fine.
and the lefty conversation is a
Right.
separate conversation.
You can listen. We can disagree on Charlie Kirk being a good guy or not. If he said that, fine. But just stop attacking one side of the aisle and just say we need to lower the temperature. But he's not even capable of doing that. We couldn't have a worse president right
Political
now.
violence is never the answer. He could have said that. He could have said, I don't know, but he does. He sent the people down there on January 6th, and he's damn proud of what happened. He calls it them patriots and hostages, and lets them out of jail.
It really is sick. And, I'm not going to lie to everybody. It's certainly taken a toll on my mental health. It's difficult to talk about these
I was not
topics every
surprised,
day.
Brian. I kind of disagree. He's saying he was surprised. I pretty much thought Trump was going to come out and do exactly
Oh,
what
I knew
did.
he wasn't going to bring anybody together. And most of the Republicans aren't doing that either. Let's go to Marsh. Marsh is next up on PTL. What's up, Marsh?
Hey guys, how you doing today?
Good.
Hi, Marsh.
Hey, big fan of the show.
Thank you.
Glad to be on with you guys. Have you guys noticed that now they're talking about charging the ladies who were protesting with a RICO charge?
I did.
I did hear that.
I did hear that as well. It is unbelievable. So let's get this right. If you're peacefully protesting, Pam Bondi is going to go after you if they don't like the message. But if you beat police officers on January 6th, you're a hostage and a patriot, and you get a pardon.
How's that the RICO Act?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, you know what's really trippy to me, and I'm surprised that nobody's actually said anything about this, is how is Pam Bondi now the Attorney General, and nobody mentioned the fact that it was her watch that Epstein's case came up in the first place.
Do you remember all those?
In the first place.
Do you remember?
And she said the list is on my desk.
Do you remember all those idiots with the binders?
Oh yeah. They're all standing there holding them.
What a bunch of buffoons.
Well, we're getting to this one tomorrow, and the next day we're getting to this one. And we should have them dissected by the end of the week. And then she says the list never existed.
Yeah, Pam
And
Bondi,
here we are about to be in October.
Yeah. Pam Bondi and Caroline Levitt and Cash Patel and Dan Bongino and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. These are very sick and dangerous people. And
But they're loyal.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's part of the problem. Before I get back to the phone calls, some people have been asking me about this. So I'm jumping on a flight today, Leonard. Charlie Kirk was supposed to be speaking at Colorado State tomorrow.
Yeah. How do we name the tour?
Yeah, so let me just give people a little bit of background. So we've had Z in studio before, part of the Un-F America tour, which is pretty much the anti Turning Point USA, but they're respectful.
It was a challenge.
And so they're going to be out there, and they have a permit. I was invited to go out there.
Mm-hmm.
Turning Point people are going to be out there. In fact, from what I've heard, the Turning Point people out there have been very kind.
Where is it?
It's going to be on the Colorado State campus. So my understanding is that I'm going to be out there with a few other social media influencers. Destiny, my friend Destiny, who's one of the biggest, YouTubers and live streamers around. He's going to be out there as well. And I'm hoping for peace. I'm hoping for really what Charlie Kirk wanted from a sense of political discussion
Debate.
and disagreement. That's the one
Interaction,
thing I
right.
agreed with Charlie
Right.
Kirk on. That's what I'm hoping for when I go out there, and I'm going to be flying out there today. Leonard is going to be here as well. I am not going to be here Thursday or Friday, but a personal friend of mine, he is known as a liberal talk show host, Doug Basham, is going to be filling in for me for the next 2 days. Leonard's going to be here too. And I'm going to be calling in tomorrow. So I will be on the show tomorrow for a segment. And I will be calling in from Colorado State from the actual event tomorrow. So
Excellent.
It should be interesting. And then I fly back Friday, and then I'll be back live here on the air Monday. But we're still doing the show. And I'm going to have a lot of content Monday. Also look for me on, I assume Pierce Morgan is either going to release it today or tomorrow.
I thought it was going out today. No,
I believe today, but sometimes
Right.
he holds off an extra 24 hours, so I'm not sure.
they're going to want to see that, Brian.
Yeah, I really went at it with Riley Gaines, and I held no punches.
And Pierce Morgan will let you say your thing.
He did. I probably spoke twice as much as everybody else, but hey, you know what? If you're going to put 4 people on a panel, I'm going to get my words in edgewise, and I called out what I believe. I called out Riley Gaines for who she is. I think she's a grifter. She's making money off of hate, the same way Charlie Kirk did.
She says terrible. It's arrogant.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
very arrogant.
Well, you know what? It wasn't working with me because I made her look like the dummy
Well,
that she is.
She does that to people that are just, intimidated or maybe they're concerned about her looks and they don't want to upset
She
her.
claimed that-
But she says anything she wants.
She claimed that Democrat elected officials are celebrating Charlie Kirk's
Yeah.
death. I asked her to name one. She couldn't do so. I asked her to
course not.
condemn Donald Trump's behavior if you care about women and young women. I asked her, will you condemn Donald Trump going into teenage girls' locker rooms? She never condemned him. She made a very general statement. And then she said, why are you attacking me for being, why are you not giving me credit for being a good swimmer? I said, it's got nothing to do with your swimming career. I said, nobody knows who you
She's
are.
not famous for being a swimmer.
Nobody would know who you are unless you're going from all these state to state and attacking transgender. So, she didn't like that. I held her to account. Pierce Morgan took her side. Obviously, I disagree with him on that. But it is must-see TV. So I look forward to getting that out there so all you guys
Looking
can see
forward
it.
to it.
Yeah, it was pretty mesmerizing. It wouldn't really be a show if we didn't leave it off with the MAGA destroyer, also known as Darlene. Darlene, what's going on?
What's up?
Hey guys, you guys look so sexy and nunchuck, and yes, I do love younger men, but I am married, so sorry about that. But anyway, listen guys, I went into a MAGA chat room on Saturday, and I want to put this out there to people. Please get to the older people, guys, because I talked to a 69-year-old retired RN. She had been an RN for 41 years, and I was trying to tell her, the truth. And I'm gonna tell you what she said. This is her exact quote. She's a Republican. She said, "No, you are delusional. We don't call people Hitler, fascist, a threat to democracy. We are not violent. We do not riot and burn things down and kill people." That was her exact words.
Yeah,
we need to get out to the older people.
Yeah, I think that it doesn't matter what side it's on. We all need to call out political violence. There's no place in our society for that. And you can disagree with someone's belief. In fact, you could even call somebody a racist or a misogynist, but it doesn't mean that they deserve to be murdered. I've made that case over and over and over again. There's bad people on both sides of the aisle, but if you look at unbiased unbiased research, that MAGA far-right Republicans are 4 times more likely to commit political violence than a liberal. These are independent studies that have been made. So anytime anybody says it's all happening on the left, they're liars, and J.D. Vance is one of them. Thank you, Darlene. I hope you have a great
Good
rest
for
of your day.
Darlene going into a MAGA room. Way to go.
Yeah, I like that about Darlene.
I'll talk to anybody.
Very courageous. Me too.
I know you will, Darlene.
I'll debate with anybody.
I love that about you. Thanks for calling in, Darlene. So
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a very long day for me.
Yeah.
My day's not over yet. I still have some work to do, and then I'm flying out to Colorado. Leonard, I appreciate you being here.
I appreciate you having me.
And I appreciate everybody in YouTube, on YouTube at PTL Nation with all your generous donations. And, of course, check out the website. My website is pushingthelimits.live. So if you go to pushingthelimits.live, you can also check out some more content. We sell PTL merchandise up there. Don't be a right-wing buffoon is the selling T-shirt.
And look for the Pierce Morgan clips.
Yeah, so that'll either be up today or tomorrow on my YouTube page. It depends when Pierce releases it. I don't have it yet. That's probably going to make the rounds. That's for sure.
Have fun in Colorado and be careful.
I'm really not going out there to have fun, believe it or not. I'm going out there for work, and a lot of it's probably not going to be fun. But I do want to have civil discourse with people from Turning Point, and from my understanding is they've been very receptive to that, which I applaud, and I think that's what Charlie Kirk would want.
Are you calling on the phone, or are you going StreamYard?
I might do StreamYard. It depends on the logistics of where I am at the time, but I will definitely call into the show tomorrow, Leonard, and I appreciate you being here as always. Thanks to Numchuck with a lot of phone calls today.
Great job, Numchuck.
A lot of phone calls today. I will personally see you guys on Monday. I will be on the show tomorrow from afar from Colorado, but I will be on the show tomorrow. And Doug Basham will be filling in. And, of course, Leonard will be here as well. I love all you guys. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you soon. Have a good one.
Have a good day.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pop?